Hey, it's Chaz, local landscapers. Today I wanted to go over this ramp rack setup that we have. I did a video a couple years ago, and we've made some upgrades and updates since, and I just want to share those with you. So there are numerous advantages of running this setup. A couple things is we're not running a trailer, so there's less maintenance there as far as the extra trailer, the tires, the lights, all that kind of stuff. And then also the skills involved with backing a trailer. The second is, since we let our guys take these home, a lot of their team members probably don't have room to put a truck and a trailer in their driveway, whereas they will have room for something like this. Another advantage is when we were storing it inside our garage, we'd be able to store the whole thing in there and just pull right out with it without having to reload and unload at the evenings. So that was another advantage as far as just time saves, just keeping everything together. You don't have to worry about forgetting something when you're reloading everything. Another advantage is around here we stand out with these. So like people see the ramp on the back of the truck and then they see our logo. So I think we're the only one in our area that's really using these right now. So you might be asking, does a 52-inch mower actually fit inside of the truck? It is extremely tight. I would say expect wheel well damage, or you can beat the wheel wells in. If you don't want to have to deal with anything like that, you would probably want to build some wood bumpers essentially and have a 48-inch size mower if you didn't want to damage the bed of your truck. The ramp rack is pretty much still the same as it was before. Really nice, simple and easy. Just go like this. It's really light. You can do it with 2 fingers. Really convenient. And then the mower, we use 52-inch scags with the grass flap. This is to help prevent grass from going into the beds. Our trucks we buy used. We have F-150s. We put a Timbren suspension on the back to help it so it doesn't sag so much. And it makes it so we can buy a used F-150 for between, let's say, $8,000 to $12,000, depending on how nice and new they are. And then we can put this ramp rack on. These are around, I think, $4,500. We have a new mower, which is around $10,500, maybe $11,000. Plus the racks, trimmers, and then all the other miscellaneous supplies. Last time I calculated, we can usually set one of these up for around $25,000. So with this setup right here, I like to back the mower on. That way I can just walk right off and right back on. You can pull it up onto the truck as well, but you do have to climb around the side between the bed and the trimmers, depending on what side you get on. So I personally like to back it on there. If you'd like me to make a video to dive into the numbers, we actually track all the metrics week by week on our mowing season. Specifically, we just started this year when we moved to our new CRM. If you'd like me to make a video on those, just let me know in the comments and I'll consider doing that. So you've pretty much seen what we have as far as our ramp rack goes, but there's some other small things that we have on here as well. We have a T-post, which is like a garden post with a post driver, and then we have a come along and a tow strap. So this allows, for most of the time, if our guys get stuck, they have enough tow strap to wrap around a tree, if there's a tree nearby, and come along themselves out. So if they're not near a tree, we'll drive a T-post in the ground, and then we'll drive it at an angle like this, and we'll have the come along and just come along it out of there. It pretty much gives us the tools to be able to get ourselves out of anything about any time. Another thing that our trucks have is an Amazon basic tool set. This is really handy if they need to adjust something, change a fuse, tighten some stuff up. It's just really convenient. It has just a little bit of everything. It has a hammer, has a little hacksaw, which is pretty much useless, but the other stuff is actually pretty useful, along with the socket set. Another thing that we have is a jump box. It's a little USB jump box. That way, if the guys get to their mower and the battery's dead in the mower, they can jump themselves. There's a few other things that we have that are pretty obvious. First aid kit. Another thing that we have included is a ratchet strap. Gas can racks. We use the no-spill gas cans. They're like, I don't know, 30, 40 bucks a piece. I guess you could consider that expensive, but it's worth it. We don't have to replace gas cans every single year. We can get a couple years out of these guys before we really start to even have to worry about anything. And it makes it really convenient as far as not spilling gas all over the place when we're trying to fill stuff up. These handles up top actually make it real nice and easy to control where the fuel goes and how fast it'll come out. So yeah, we have the no-spill gas cans with the Equipment Defender racks. We have the TrailerRacks.com Extreme Pro Series. It's 2 levels. The 3rd level is just too tall for me. I'm 5'8". Most of our guys are around my height. I mean, we've had some taller guys that could probably utilize the 3rd one if they really wanted to, but we're running one-person crews. We really don't need to have that on the truck. So we use the big Echo 9010 PB 9010 blowers. So they're pretty big, and it was really a pain in the butt to try to get them on these racks. And so what our guys, like, even if we had the racks on here, they just tend not to use them. So they tend to put them either in the bed of the truck or on the ramp itself, and then we just unload it right before we unload. So that's one thing I haven't quite figured out a great solution for, is the backpack blower. Maybe this is the solution. A couple other things that we keep inside of our truck is we keep an air compressor, and that's just a small one that we plug into the cigarette lighter. So if they get a flat tire or a low tire, they're able to plug that in. This truck right here has around 200,000 miles, I believe. When we buy vehicles, we're usually buying with no less than 100,000 miles. I'm trying to look for some vehicles that are affordable and in decent condition and pretty much well taken care of. But usually the only upgrades that we have to do for this setup is the timber and suspension system. I believe that's around 350 bucks. It's actually pretty easy. We've been installing them in-house lately. And the last thing that we might need to upgrade on some of the trucks that I do buy don't have trailer hitches. I almost favor them just because I know they haven't towed anything. So in my mind, it probably means they had an easier life. So usually those are the only two things: the trailer hitch and then the timbering system. And then obviously the ramp rack and all the other racks that you see here. But the other truck doesn't have this right here. I think we have it still sitting in the shop. We just got carried away with the season, but this is where we keep our string. This is something that we got on Amazon. Buyers is the company. Works pretty well for us. It's not perfect by any means, and sometimes these spools will break and the wire goes everywhere. It can be really a pain in the butt. But it just only made sense, like if you have your trimmer right here on the side, we have your string right underneath of it, and then we have our mixed fuel here as well. So, and then we're on the curb side of the vehicle, passenger side. Another upgrade that we had to do is we had to build a wooden frame box and to put into the back of the truck. This makes it so the mower doesn't run into the back of the front of the ramp rack railing. We busted a couple back windows with just the mowers moving around and shifting around. We were able to easily solve that with that box. So the name of the game with this setup is efficiency. And we even took it one step further. The guys that have been here for at least a year, the ones that we trust, that work really hard, pull consistent numbers, they actually take their truck home and they can use it to cut their own grass if they want. It does take a high caliber person to run a one-person setup. It can be pretty challenging to find those right guys, but once you do, those guys tend to really love the freedom that they have with these one-person crews. They don't have to, worry about a lot. They're pretty much doing the same route. Most of them absolutely love to mow grass in the first place. So that pretty much wraps it up for our one-person mowing crew setup. We've had really great luck with these. We started doing these, I believe, in 2021, and we haven't looked back since. We used to run the four-door truck with the two-man crew, sometimes three, and if the other crew called out, it'd be 4 people on there, and it was just extremely inefficient. I could see bigger crews working out for bigger properties, but we're primarily residential, so we're just doing residential properties. I'd say our average property lawn size is probably around 20,000 square feet, probably about a half acre, and our guys tend to do 6 to 8, sometimes 10 a day, depending on what kind of size lawns they have. Sometimes they'll do 4. They have like a 3-acre property and another 2-acre property, some bigger properties. I hope this helps, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you.